Hey YouTube! Today I'm going to be coloring a mermaid with Copic markers. I'd actually done my initial sketch in a sketchbook, and then I inked it and scanned it and put it into Photoshop and then printed it out on Staples cover stock paper. As always, first I filled in her skin with a base color. Normally I like using the E000 as my base color, but because I wanted to make this mermaid look like a goldfish, I decided to go with a yellow tone for her skin. Staples cover stock paper is okay. It's definitely better than regular computer paper, but I wouldn't put it on par with any paper made for markers. You can't see it because of the video editing, but I waited a few minutes to let the ink dry before I started doing a second layer of shadows with the base color. Then I actually busted out a darker color and started doing harsher shadows. Normally I would build up the skin color a little slower, but because of the quality of the paper and it not being able to take too much ink, I went for something a little more, what's the word? A little more simple, I guess. I was happy with how it looked though. If you look at where the shadows are on her arms, you can kind of see streaks. That's the result of using paper like this, but I anticipated it, so it's really a case of working with the material I have. I do plan to actually order better marker paper though. That's like 8.5 by 11 inches. I just haven't gotten around to it. I ended up going over everything with E000 because even though it's kind of a different tone, it's still very, very light. So I was trying to use it to blend the ink a little bit more. For the tail, I started laying down the yellow first. I knew I was going to do yellow, oranges, and reds, and I just decided to go from lightest to darkest. I love mermaid tails and I love scales. I didn't worry about making them very uniform because in nature it is rare for things to be uniform. You know, except for butterflies, I guess. And beautiful people with symmetrical faces and ladybugs. But you get my point. It was really fun coloring her tail. I used a goldfish picture for reference. I didn't try to exactly copy it. I just kind of wanted to use it for reference to see how the golds and reds and oranges all go together. It's not a perfect replica, but I felt the way I did it on my mermaid looks nice. You can see I keep going back to the scales to add more color. I just wanted to add more depth to the scales and more shininess. When I colored in the tail, I wanted it to be a gradual blend from the orange color to the yellow color. I don't know what the little side fin things on her hips are called, but I wanted to make it match the end of her tail. I I ended up pushing up the red because I really wanted to emphasize the bend in her knee, and I thought I could do that a lot more successfully by just pushing up the red rather than trying to darken the yellow scales even more. I ended up coloring her hair blonde because I thought any other color would be distracting. Her tail has like the yellow, orange, red tones that go together. And the line art is actually green because I want the shirt and purse to be green. I felt like introducing a new color just for her hair wouldn't serve any purpose and would kind of break the unity of the color scheme I'm going for. So my first step for her shirt was to fill it all in with one base color, except for the sleeves and the collar, which I made a darker green. Then I just layered a bunch of other green on it. I tried to layer shadows, emphasize the shape of her boobs, if you'll see, because, you know, they're under her shirt. I really like her purse to the point that I kind of would like a purse that looked like that. I kept adding different layers of green on her shirt, not only because I wanted to emphasize shape and shadows, but I also really wanted to show that it's made of cloth, and cloth has texture. Though don't ask me what texture it is that she would be wearing underwater, I'm not sure. I went for green eyes because I'm a sucker for green eyes. I slowly built them up. Then I went to go poke at her tail just a bit more. By then the ink had dried, so I knew that if I did some final touches, they'd be a little more visible. Now lastly, I'm working on the background. I think ideally I probably should be figuring out my background during the sketch part, but I can be pretty guilty of just drawing a character and thinking of the background at the end. I ended up deciding to go with bubbles. You know, she's a mermaid, she's underwater. Bubbles seemed like a good idea. And then I was able to experiment and make these cool greenish bubbles. Trying to follow my color scheme. But hopefully they're not radioactive bubbles. I guess I should have thought about why they're so radioactive green. You know, besides it just being the color scheme. I think it's just funner to think of a backstory. Like, what's that purse's material made of? Is it going to fall apart in the water? And like, what's a mermaid keeping in her purse? Is it seashells? I'm not sure how I feel about how the drawing looks after I added the dark outlines around the bubbles. I really like how the color looked and how 3D they looked before I added the line art. But I also feel like adding the green outlines actually brings it all together a bit more. And then I took out my Sakura jelly pen and added some highlights. And that's it. That's how I colored my mermaid. If you want to see how I transferred the line art from my sketchbook, come to my channel and check out my scan and transfer line art using Photoshop tutorial. See you!